Welcome to Insatiable, the podcast where we discuss the intersection of food, psychology, and culture.
Codependent habits are simply habits, as are perfectionist and people-pleasing habits. And I don't think they're a disease. I think they're brilliance. And so I was aiming to write the book that would reframe this away from that disease model and into a model of celebration.
I'm your host, Ali Shapiro, an integrated health coach, 32-year and counting cancer survivor, and have radically healed my relationship with food and my body. And for the past 17 years, I've been working with clients individually, in group programs, and in company settings to do the same. Welcome. The information in this podcast should not be considered personal, individual, or medical advice. So lately on Insatiable, we've kind of been talking about how the wellness world is getting even more crazier than it's been in years past. And simultaneously, chances are if you listen to my show, you're what marketing folks call a more mature customer. Maturity isn't about age. Rather, you're more curious than the average bear about what you're being told and sold related to health, wellness, and personal growth. And so you're my people. I specifically want to have conversations that you care about because they're the ones I care about. In practical terms, you've tried functional medicine and it didn't work, or it didn't work as well as you thought it would. Or maybe you couldn't even stick with it because, there's a huge emotional piece to our healing. Or maybe you've taken the mainstream boundary advice and needed to for a bit, right? But now you feel you need more flexibility and connection in your life, right? In other words, you're ready for more expansion, nuance, and depth around your physical issues, food challenges, and emotional challenges. And so today's episode is going to deliver. I am joined by Beatriz Victoria Albina for a conversation about the emotions that often hide beneath common gut issues, right? We often know hey, okay, it's stress, right? My IBS acts up when I'm stressed or whatnot. But what does that really mean? What stress is really going on? And what are those emotional patterns that cause us to stress eat and not heal as much as we can? And so we're going to get into that and why codependency isn't the real problem and boundaries aren't the full solution. Again, so we're going to offer some depth. We're also going to dive into her new book, End Emotional Outsourcing, a guide to overcoming codependent, perfectionist, and people-pleasing habits, where Beatriz can't really roll my R's. She's from Argentina, so I don't have that. I've heard it's genetic with your R's, if you can roll them or not. But anyways, Beatriz offers powerful reframes on parenting, community, and self-trust, and how that's going to translate into your physical issues. Our work overlaps so much, so I just had such a great time with this conversation. And I am hoping this episode will feel like a deep exhale, a reminder that healing isn't about fixing yourself, but coming home to yourself. So more about Bay. She is a family nurse practitioner, somatic experiencing practitioner, master certified somatic life coach, also a breathwork meditation guide, and she has a real passion for helping humans socialized as women to reconnect with their bodies, regulate their nervous systems, and rewire their minds, right? So they can really reclaim joy. She's also a host of the Feminist Wellness Podcast and holds a master's degree in public health from Boston University. There's a lot that Bay offers from all directions, and she has the personal experience too, which I think is so important for practitioners. You tend to catch things when you've personally gone through something that sometimes the theory doesn't. So she blends the best of all the worlds. Enjoy today's conversation. Bea, I am so excited to finally have you here. We have so many people in common, and I just got done reading your book, End Emotional Outsourcing, and I was like, oh my God, our work overlaps so much because even though my work's quite quote unquote about food, it really is about us turning to food when we don't feel safe in our belonging. And this book, you're going to give so many people so much language for that felt sense, right? From a nervous somatics perspective. So thanks for joining us.
Oh, my pleasure. And thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, my husband was asking me like, "Oh, how's the book?" And I'm like, "She is the real deal." And he's like, "That's so refreshing because so many people in your industry aren't." And I was like, yeah. So we'll just leave it at that.
Diplomatic of you, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
So one of the things that I want to start with, and I love that. So for, you came to this work and that you specialized in gut health. And what you started to realize was, and I love that you're functionally trained. I got introduced to functional medicine like 19 years ago and it's super fringe, and it helped me heal my gut from what I later discovered was I had chemotherapy, I had gut issues. But I sort of started to realize like, okay, functional medicine can only take us so far. And so you were starting to realize that people would come in with gluten sensitivity and, oh, is gluten sensitivity really the root cause? Or now you have to follow these protocols and the perfectionism of it all. Can you just tell us how did you start to realize that maybe it's really the gluten sensitivity isn't the root issue? It might be these deeper emotional patterns that we'll get to in what you call emotional outsourcing. What tipped you off?
At a risk of sounding, I don't even care how I'm going to sound, I was doing everything right. I was doing the right tests and then backing up what I would get on the non-standard Western test with a stool test at LabCorp Quest. I was doing the right blood work. I was doing the GI. I was doing all the things. I was neurotically, carefully, thoughtfully doing above and beyond the standard of care. And my patients were getting better. And then they'd be up for promotion and boom. And then they'd go see their mom for her birthday and boom. Right? There was so often something we could, with very thoughtful, careful detective work and a boatload of ADHD. Let's be real. The pattern recognition that this brain is capable of is outstanding. And do you want to go ride bikes? Do you know what I mean? Like, we got it all up here, but I can see patterns from an outstandingly far way while riding that bike and changing a light bulb at the same time. And it just became so glaringly obvious, right? That the people who had more nervous system regulation would get whatever bacterial infection from drinking water in Cleveland or whatever, and would come to me, we'd test, we'd find the bug, we'd murder the bug. They'd say, all right, I'm fine now, bye. And I'd say, goodbye. But the ones who kept coming back, remitting, there was something deeper, which I didn't fully recognize as nervous system dysregulation until it was glaringly obvious in myself, in my friends, in my patients, in my colleagues, you know? And once you start to really see that dysregulation and all the telltale signs of it, signs and symptoms, which we can get into so much detail about, it just became so clear that so much more of this was limbic system, right? It was the amygdala firing off those fear signals that was taking the nervous system, the autonomic nervous system, into sympathetic activation, which did what it was supposed to do, which is shut down the gut or speed up the gut, right? And so, of course, you can't poop. You're being chased by proverbial lions.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So it was pattern analysis. And I have been lovingly referred to as like an annoying toddler because I won't stop saying why. Right? Yeah. No, but why doesn't she feel good? But why doesn't she feel good when she does this and when she does this and why? Why? And so I'd leave clinic and read for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and go to conferences and talk to people and just became annoying in service of my patients' best health and my own.
Well, I think for people listening, they're going to just feel a huge exhale because I tend to have clients who they've tried all the functional medicine and it works for a little bit and then stops, right? Or they can't keep the protocol up and it's like okay, but the way that they're attacking the protocol is, it's like how they're doing it is part of the issue, but it's part of these deeper patterns that you have identified as, and as emotional outsourcing. So what is that activation or collapse, or what did you notice then in terms of, okay, a nervous system is on the fritz. What is that? Like, what's the entry point? What do we do with that?
Yeah. How do we see it, or what do we do once we see it?
Oh yeah. First, like, okay, it's nervous system dysregulation, either overactive, underactive. But then it's like you kind of have to pull the thread, and you use the term emotional outsourcing.
Yeah,
so I guess let's first define the problem.
So emotional outsourcing is my umbrella term for our codependent, perfectionist, and people-pleasing habits. It's when we chronically and habitually source our sense of the three vital human needs: safety, belonging, and worth from everyone and everything outside of ourselves instead of from within, at a great cost to self.
I think that at cost to self is so important, because one of the things I loved in your book, this is like, she knows the real deal, the nuance of so many people in the personal development world, which our industry straddles, right, are like, don't care what other people think. And it's like, but your sense of safety, because I have a developmental background, so it's more psychology, but you have to get into the nervous system in that, because it's how we make meaning. But it's like, no, nature designed your sense of safety to be externally oriented for the first couple decades of your life. Like, you can't secure your own needs. So I love that you said it's at a cost to yourself, because sometimes it's okay to go with the flow, be the people pleaser, right?
Yeah. So that's, English, as like many ESL kids, like, I'm very careful with my language. Each word is very consciously, thoughtfully, carefully chosen because it matters, right? It's chronic and habitual. So we've been doing it often since jump, right? Since we're wee little ones. And habitual meaning it's unintentional. It's become our default. It's become like the language of the reticular activating system and the default mode network, right? This is how we life. This is how we see world. This becomes the lens for those systems. It's the lens we see the world through. Like, if I take my glasses off, everything's a little foggy. But if I put them back on, I see through this lens, and it changes my experience of life. So too do our stories about what's, like you so smartly said, what's safe, what's not. And for pack animals, caring about other pack animals is really friggin' smart, right? My cat doesn't care what I think about him. He couldn't care less. But I've had labs most of my life, and they're like, wait, is it okay? Do you love me? Am I okay? What's wrong? What's up? Hi, I love you. Are you okay? What's up? Do you need me? You need me. What's up? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we are like much more like labs than we are like cats. Even if you're an introvert out there, let me tell you, on a nervous system biology level, we are meant for each other. We need each other. It's absolutely vital. And so I appreciate that where your brain went right to is the at a cost to ourselves. Because the big pushback I get is, but I love being kind. I love helping people. And the long-standing language on codependency says that if you're helping people, you're enabling. If you're helping people, right, if you're giving, it's problematic. Right. And I think we've gone so far, the pendulum has swung so far with therapy speak that we've kind of lost the plot on human connection in a lot of ways. And we have like these rock solid boundaries and like that don't allow us to connect spirit to spirit, human to human. So like, I love to drive a friend to the airport. I love to like, oh, you had a baby or got the flu or you just have a need and I have carrots. Sounds like you're getting soup.
Yeah.
Right? But I love doing that. But I don't love doing that the week before my book comes out because I'm full up. I cannot give from my overflow. I would be giving from my vital reserve of energy and time and spaciousness. But I can later in the month. And so I will. Right?
Yeah, it's that, in developmental work, we look at it, we call it the socialized mind when you're growing up, and it really thinks in either or, right? Like, and it kind of has to, or that all or nothing.
Yep.
But then the task of being an adult is to, like, where's the and I want to care, and I have a self as well. So
Right.
I do want to circle back though, because I really appreciated that about your book of like looking at we devalue care. And so then we get into very rigid ideas around it, right? Like I'm caring or I'm not caring. And then then the guilt comes out, right? So can you just briefly, everyone get the book. It's really good. But like we devalue care in all these ways that you really pointed out to so we can see oh, we should be valuing care. So can you just speak to a little bit of how we undermine caring for each other, including ourselves?
Yeah. Well, I think that's done for us by the patriarchy.
Yeah.
Right? I don't
Yeah.
think we are the original actor there. I think we're taught that caring is woman's work. So therefore it's way less important.
Yeah.
Right? Like
Yeah.
the big chefs are chefs and are men and get to scream at a bunch of people, right? But who's doing most of the cooking, right?
Yeah.
Right. Like we put women's work is always denigrated in the patriarchy because it's one of the so many ways of holding us down. But what happens when we lift up the work of caring is we build profound community, right? Community that's about interdependence, that's about mutuality and reciprocity, which are the hallmarks of interdependence, which is the opposite of the old trope of codependence, right? Which is over-reliance or under-reliance.
Yeah.
And so culture of care says you are my neighbor, therefore you are my family, right? And you matter to me. Now, I don't know your name, but you're my neighbor, and so you matter to me. I don't know where you're from, but you're my neighbor, so you matter to me, right? And that's, the fascist states want the exact opposite, right?
Yes.
They want to alienate us deeply and profoundly from one another.
Mm-hmm.
And so we get to really reclaim, that interpersonal connection as a way to, I liberate us all, really.
Yeah.
Right? And when we look at great revolutions, the Black Panthers, what was the core of their work? Right? Food banks, soup kitchens, education, healthcare for all, right? The Sandinistas, so too, right?
And they were branded as radical and violent. Right?
Of course.
But I think that's just so ironic, right?
Right.
Well, because it is ironic that it's violent that you want everybody fed.
How dare you? I'm leaving this conversation. How dare you propose such radical ideas, such as no one have a hungry tummy at bedtime? How dare you? Dare you?
I know.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
because a hungry populate, a disenfranchised, disconnected, poorly educated population is so much easier to control, right?
Yeah.
Don't even get me started on skinny talk.
Yeah. Well, we'll get...
And the rise of fascism. All right.
Yeah.
Don't threaten me with a good time. Don't threaten me, Shapiro. Yeah, but they want nothing more than us to be in this, as far from interdependent as possible. You know?
Yeah. So let's back up a little bit to emotional outsourcing, which I love that term because because it shows you it's a good metaphor for what you're doing. And I'm curious though, because the other thing I loved in your book is she understands the perfectionist mindset, because you would say something like, okay, belonging comes from attachment, but just because you have a certain attachment style, it doesn't mean it's the thing that you have to right? In perfectionism, it's all about risk management. So it's what's the thing that I am? And you're whoa, this is just places that we move in and out of. So I was oh, she gets it. She gets it. But let's start with what we were talking about. We, as kids, we naturally tend to emotionally outsource. So what does good enough attachment belonging feel like when we're kids that if we didn't get that may set us up for these other patterns?
Yeah. So good enough parenting comes from Mary Ainsworth's work. And so it's being emotionally attuned approximately 30% of the time, right?
30% people. Listen.
Listen, mama, you're doing great. Take a breath. You're doing just fine. Thank you. I know, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And so good enough parenting is showing up the best you can. For me, what I think is the so much more importantest part is always intentionality.
Mm.
I'm not saying intention over impact people. I'm saying that intention really matters. Maybe it's because I grew up around Quakers in the great state of Rhode Island, greatest state in the union. You know, I legally have to say that, right? Once you leave Rhode Island, you always have to give it the big ups. Anyway, but I think, the intention as a parent or as a partner or as a friend or as a provider to really show up and do your most loving, most best per your skill set. And if things aren't going the way the outcomes and results that you're experiencing aren't what you hope for, to become the annoying toddler and say like, wait, but why? How can I do this more betterly? You know what I mean?
Yeah. So like as kids, does it feel like, because I think what you're getting at with the perfectionism, the people pleasing and the codependent habits is it often feels like a striving almost instead of like a place of rest. Do you think that's...
Of course. Yeah. So one of the biggest triggers I see in childhood, because I have these in-depth conversations with my clients because everyone wants to understand, or most people want to understand, how did it get this way?
Yeah.
Right. And so I think one of the big things I see is at some point in our childhood, the lesson was learned that being you, your most authentic, grounded, real self, suboptimal choice.
Mm.
Like not on a scale of 1 to pretty dumb thing to do. It was 17. You know what I mean? Like it was a bad choice to be as loud as you were, or as quiet, or as fat, or as thin, or as gregarious, right? Or whatever it was that didn't make you a person that fit in with your family of origin, your culture, your religion, right? And so that process of self-assimilation, right, versus cultural assimilation, assimilating the self into the collective, leads us to lose self, right? And so the striving you're speaking to comes from, I don't know how to be me because I left me far behind. And so now I'm living as this false self. I'm living as this constructed self. I'm living as this shape-shifting, chameleoning self who is reactive to the environment, not responsive to my own nervous system, to my own biological impulses, to my own felt sense. You want me to keep eating more? I'll keep eating more. You want me to eat the thing that hurts me? Oh yeah, sure, let's go. You want me to always, you never laugh at my jokes. I'll fake laugh at anything.
Mm-hmm.
Will that get me into the good graces? That, because pack animal, to go back to your last question, will help me survive when the lions come, and the lions are always coming? Absolutely. I'll be whomever you want me to be.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Let's go. Let's do it. And it's not a conscious thing, but that striving comes from that not being able to locate safety, belonging, and worth internally. So you can never chill out. You can never fully relax. You can't let your hair down because you're always wondering who's going to judge me, who's going to come home and wonder if I was cleaning enough, or get mad at me for scrolling on my phone, or who's going to what? That's going to lead them to judge me, to dislike me, and thus not save me when the lions inevitably come. Right?
Yeah.
So yeah, striving over being, because who am I going to be? Get out of here.
Yeah.
Who am I going to be? Who would you recommend? Because I'll just be that instead. Thanks. Right?
Yeah. One I think you also touched on, which was going to be a follow-up question of what does it feel like as an adult? And it feels like I can let my hair down. I can have how else would, I don't want to lead the witness here, but
how does it feel to step into interdependence?
Yeah. And that safety of belonging as an adult, because it is different. You don't have to depend on people. Well, you may have to depend on an employer for, financial paycheck or, you have to be, I don't know, all those things. I'm not saying that there's no right? This is part of the perceived risks, right?
Right,
So,
right.
but what does it feel like when you're like, I can bring this authentic self, this real me forward?
Yeah. Well, so the experience of that dependence, for example, like, not wearing, I don't know, a banana costume to your corporate job, right, comes with some level of intentionality.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the difference between like masking your true self because you fear you'll be rejected,
Mm-hmm.
and creating, building, and flourishing in settings where you can truly be yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes you have a ton of student debt and you have to this was my story after leaving after my medical training. Like, I did not feel like I could be me in the clinic I was working in Manhattan, 0%. And so we can make these intentional choices to be strategic without abandoning self.
I love that distinction. That's very nuanced. It's like, it's more like I'm choosing this versus life is happening to me.
Right.
Yeah.
So to bring it back to the framework of food and nutrition, after I did my master's in public health, I worked in the global south for many years in Mexico, Nicaragua, Cuba, Vietnam, and I ate some really gross stuff I worked with indigenous communities in tiny rural villages up a mountain in Nicaragua where they barely had any food. And I was there to help them with whatever public health issue. And they'd feed me goat eyeballs, which are the most prized part. Oh, I did not want to eat it. But I ate it from love. From love for this. Right. But not like the way I would, maybe some of us would order a drink on a girl's night out because you don't want to deal with them saying why aren't you drinking? Why are you not eating gluten? Right. So we're not avoiding social shame.
Yeah.
We're not avoiding a story about who we are. We're being respectful and honest and loving and kind because my values are about honoring and respect. But it's not about having a third drink to try to not have someone think whatever they're going to think.
Yeah. Well, as you're speaking, and I think this leads us to the somatic part. I mean, you're talking about discernment, flexibility, right? Like not once you have I'm honoring myself and not the other person versus well, what does it look like when, both people, it's in developmental psych, it's called self-authored values or whatever.
Yeah.
But I want to talk about what's happening. So you really focus on the nervous system, which I just love. And what's happening in our body when we can't make those intentional choices, that it's like, I have to have the third drink. Oh my God, am I with my healthy friends? Okay, not eating gluten there. Oh, if I'm with my family that's not healthy, okay, I'm eating the shit. Right? And I mean, even shit is a judgment, right?
God, we all know that moment. Right.
Yeah.
Read the room. Quick.
Yeah, read the room, right? So what's happening there in our bodies that literally overrides, I know what I should be doing, but I'm not doing it. But also, do we really know what we should be doing?
Right.
I don't want this to get too meta, but you know what? I don't even know what I really want.
Right.
But I'm telling myself I shouldn't do this because the functional medicine practitioner told me that, I can't eat 20 foods, or diet culture told me I can't eat, I'm out of my points or calories. So it's part of this. So the discernment and flexibility, what stops us in our nervous system from having any sort of access to that spaciousness and calm, which I call agency, essentially.
Yeah. What I see the most, and I talk all about in chapter 5, major question mark in voice. You get to check the index on that. Not you, my dear listener. Check the table of contents. But I think it's chapter 5. We talk all about functional freeze. Lots of things can be happening in the nervous system. And Mama's been doing this for a minute. What I largely see is functional freeze, which is a mixed state. How nerd do you want me to go with defining sympathetic and dorsal and ventral? Shall I go full nerd, or do folks know it enough?
I think we should go full nerd. We are very healthy skeptics on this. We want to hear the deets.
Let's have science. Okay, great. So, great. Healthy skeptic. Brilliant. My favorite kind. So what we're about to talk about is based on the work of Dr. Stephen Porges, PhD, who developed polyvagal theory. It is a theory. So like all things in science, it's not proven. There's no proof in science. That is the fundamental, most vital part of science. We are always accepting or not accepting the null hypothesis. It's the basis of what we do in science, right? So, yeah, no, there's no proof for polyvagal theory. There's no proof for anything. Gravity is just today's best guess. Do you know what I mean? Maybe there's a dragon in the core of the earth using a magic crystal ball to keep stuff from floating.
Have you ever hanging out on Reddit? No,
listen, if there's a place I avoid like the plague, it's Reddit. But goodness gracious. But you know what I'm saying? I just want to always say it clearly because, well, frankly, I'm trying to save you the hate mail. Let's just be real.
But I think it's so important for perfectionists who think like this is, oh my God, this is the thing. And again, there's a lot of things, but you even bring up being in a mixed state. It's not like you're one state and it's fixed. It's everything's on a continuum.
And everything's flowing. I mean, time isn't real, right? It's just a construct of whiteness. Time is sloshing. That's our second. I'll come back for that convo. It really freaks some people out. But back to polyvagal theory. Listen, are there problems with the theory? Sure. Yep. Lots. And they've been well pointed out. And I use it as a metaphor because I understand how brains work and I understand how storytelling works. I understand what helps brains understand things.
Mm-hmm.
So here's your metaphor. Are we ready? Polyvagal theory tells us that the vagus nerve, the 10th cranial nerve, longest nerve in the human body, goes from the brain right through the middle of the mammal. It controls all sorts of good stuff. It innervates or brings nerve function to all the organs through the mid-bits, heart, lung, guts. It impacts our mood, our energy, and it is the predominant vehicle of the autonomic, aka automatic nervous system. This is the one that makes heart go boom, boom, makes lungs go, without whom we'd be toast. Because, Allie, how long would you last if you had to control your heart and lungs?
Oh my God. I don't have time for that.
7 seconds. I would just be like, oh, anyway, farts. I forgot to breathe. I forgot to heart rate. So glad I'm not in charge of that actively, and my autonomic nervous system is. The autonomic nervous system, through neuroception, another term from Porges, is constantly scanning our environment to say, lion, tabby cat, cobra, stick in the grass. My really mean grandmother, I didn't have a mean grandmother, I'm making stuff up. Mean grandmother's perfume, panic, or beautiful lilacs. Or the smell of morning coffee, what a delight. You know what I'm saying? And so it's constantly scanning the external world and the internal world, asking the one and only question that matters. Murder me or not murder me? That's it. That's safe or unsafe is a slightly more scientific way to say that. That's all it's asking. It works in this really binary way in concert with our brainstem, with the amygdala, limbic system, reptilian kind of brain. Murder, not murder. Okay, so when we are little, we create stories. We get an understanding of what murders and what doesn't, what's dangerous and what's safe, right? And so that becomes implicit or procedural memory, right? It's part and parcel of it. And that's the memory that says it's like Boolean logic, if then, right? If I get in car, then I check mirror, then I turn key, then I put in drive, right? Procedural memory, how to procedure, how to do life. The autonomic nervous system also interacts with life to say how we react to different things in the world. Let's say your partner says, hey, babe, where do you want to go for dinner? And you say, oh, sushi sounds great. And that person makes like a little sneering face. Like your dad would make a sneering face right before he blew up at you. What does your nervous system automatically lead you to do? Oh, don't worry about it. It's okay. I didn't actually want sushi. We can have burgers. Do you want burgers? We could get pizza. What about Mexican? Or also there's that new Filipino place down the street. Have you ever tried Malaysian? Anything but the thing that might bring me danger. Because you're not a fool.
Yeah.
So that system that works in a millisecond, 0.6 seconds or so, is run by the vagus nerve in large part. And it's 2 main branches and 3 parts. You ready? There's a sympathetic nervous system, fight or flight, the freak out system, that's a lion, I'm going to book it system. That's fast, that's speedy, that's let's go, that's adrenaline, that's norepinephrine, that's oh my God, lions, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go. That's anxious. The story of sympathetic is I have to go, I have to do this, I have to get it done, I have to get my PhD, I have to get a job, I have to go, I have to get married, I have to have kids, I have to make them happy, I have to keep them happy, I have to. The other side is the parasympathetic nervous system. And don't try to put meaning to sympathetic and parasympathetic. Forget about it. It's the speedy.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. I would rename it in 1,000 ways other than sympathetic, because sympathy, anyway. But sympathetic, go, go, go. Parasympathetic has 2 branches. This is the rest and digest system, right? This is what we were all taught in 8th grade, when we also learned that the mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell, is what we learned in 8th grade.
Yes,
okay.
yes. And that's still true. That is still true. Even on Reddit. Well, maybe not. I don't know.
That's why you don't go on there. It's dangerous.
It can be the best or the worst. That's the problem. Sometimes, I just found an insomnia thread that helped me, and I was like, oh, now I'm, but anyways.
Yeah. Go ahead. Insomnia over 35 got some progesterone in my book, but that's a whole
I'm already on it.
Listen, love me my progesterone. Hey, where were we?
Oh, yes. No,
parasympathetic, 2 branches in there. 1, ventral vagal, safe and social. That's the chill. Everything's cool. Everything's chill. I'm good. I'm on the couch with my cat. My belly's full. I'm good. I'm just digesting, maybe watching a nice little show, listening to some good tunes. I'm chill. I'm reading a book. I'm talking to someone who's awesome and a wicked smarty pants. Things are good. I'm in ventral vagal. Ventral vagal. Cool. Chill. What Poor just brought to light is dorsal, which is the evolutionarily oldest part of the autonomic nervous system, and it is the freeze response. It is the checked out, dissociated, disconnected. Wait, what? Oh, sorry, I went dorsal for a second. Deer in the headlights, possum playing possum. You shine the headlights on a bunny, and they're like, I'm a stone bunny. I'm not a real thumper. And you're like, nice try, buddy. You went dorsal. It is, oh my God, I'm overwhelmed. But sympathetic overwhelm is, oh my God, I'm so overwhelmed. I have to do so much. I have to go do so much. Look at my to-do list. And dorsal overwhelm is, I can't do one more thing. I can't do one more thing. I'm in dorsal. I am checked out. I am dissociated. I am depressed. I am in the couch in dorsal. I am what? Dorsal.
And I loved how you said in the book, this is where often we know we should change habits, but we feel powerless over it.
Well, yeah, because your nervous system's like, you know what? Enough out of you. This is enough. I've had enough. Basta. In Spanish, we say, no doy más. I give no more. But it's your nervous, I give no more. I've had enough with you. Can you get on the couch and recharge? It's like a nervous system timeout. I don't know how in this decade of talking about the nervous system, I've never said that before, but someone put that on a t-shirt because that's a memorable one. Dorsal is like nervous system timeout. It's like, you know what? There's not enough in the tank for this level of bullshit. I just can't with this. Can you just really, please? And so what is functional freeze? About 6 hours ago, you asked me to talk about the nervous system state that keeps us functioning in emotional outsourcing. Yeah, it can be anything and any combination, but what I have largely seen with my pattern recognition eyes is functional freeze, which is 1 foot on the gas in sympathetic, getting degrees, getting fancy jobs, getting in the C-suite, studying the things, learning things, doing, and 1 foot in dorsal. Hey, so how do you feel? Oh, yeah. So, my husband's going to get this raise and I'm really excited. And I'm thinking about going to law school because I already have a PhD and an MD. And I think a JD would really just round it out. Cool. Megan, how are you feeling? Oh, well, words. Feelings? No. Silly goose potato. No. We are shut down. We are dorsal to ourself. We are numb. We are our feelings are at the center of a block of ice and we're frozen around them. Yeah. And so you'd ask someone, how do you feel? And you get this whole story, right? Are you mad? Well, I'm sure they were like meant to do their best. And I'm sure like they didn't mean to like abandon me on the side of the road for 6 weeks. And like, yeah, I mean, like I could be mad, but I probably like, what, story instead of feeling, story instead of actual experience, story instead of presence and intentionality. Almost like story is the habit that we're using to attempt to source safety, belonging, and worth.
Yep, that's
Almost.
Almost. Right.
Almost. Like exactly that. Right?
Yeah.
And that just becomes our go-to. And then the nervous system gets stuck, as it were. It gets habituated, is more apt language, but to being in this spin, this absolute spin in a functional freeze. Functional in the science way of like not dysfunctional. Like you're in a freeze, but you're not catatonic. That's all it means. It's not like a judgment on like how well you're doing in the world. It just means that you are functional because the end, like the 10 out of 10 dorsal is catatonic, right?
I love that you bring that up because one of my questions was going to be around, I find in my groups, people think they're feeling their feelings, but they're thinking their feelings, which is what you just described. And my work is actually about getting to the story underneath all the thoughts. And that's why we turn to food. That's kind of more, but I love that you bring that up because I was going to actually ask you, do you find that people think they're feeling their feelings, but they're thinking them and they're in the story of them instead of like, woo, I need to come into my body.
100%. Yeah. Because I'll ask, like, where do you feel that in your body?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I just think he really shouldn't have said that. I just think it was really mean of him to say that. Cool. And again, no judges anybody, but it's just, there's always significant evidence that we're not actually feeling it. And you can sort of like check in with yourself. Like I remember when I was deep in functional freeze, I'm an astute animal. I can read the room, right? And so I said, oh, that's so sad. But my chest didn't change. My belly didn't change. I can see why you'd be so angry. But again, scanning the body, nothing. Just like neutral nothing. Nothing. Like oatmeal. Like you're just made of oatmeal instead of like vibrancy and color and,
Yeah.
It's oatmeal.
And I think that includes like the good stuff too, because again, I didn't have all this language 10 years ago. And again, having cancer at 13, I can now say that I think I was in functional freeze and people are like, you're so sensitive, so nice. But it was like, I couldn't feel the good stuff. And then I couldn't feel then the hard stuff. And it was like, I just put everything, my weight was the issue, right? It's like, weight was not, that was a bucket for everything I couldn't feel.
Yeah.
But I think you miss out on the good stuff too when you're in that. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, oh, wow, this is so fun.
Yeah. Instead of like belly laughing joy.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think we can sort of check ourselves. So the Duchenne smile, right? Like when your eyes crinkle and like your whole face is smiling, you have to be in ventral vagal for that.
I've never even heard of that type of smile.
Yeah. Oh, so watch people. It's actually once you're in presence, getting that smile is very disconcerting, right? I had this neighbor who is like Park Slope, Brooklyn PTA mom, and she was intense, and she would always do that hi smile where her mouth was fully smiling, but her eyes were full of hate.
Oh,
and scared the crap. I stayed far away from her because my whole body was like, that's not safe. But that's what happens when we are not present. For her, I think it was something different. But for a lot of us who are, this is great disdain for anyone not in her tax bracket. But for those of us who are working with our nervous system, it can be that we're disconnected from, dissociated from the joy. Because think about how stupid joy is when you've been through it. That's dumb. Number one, what a dumb place to waste hope, right? What a stupid place to put energy. Yeah. And if you're expecting anything or allowing anything to be joyful, who's going to warn you about the lions? Because your parents are untrustworthy. Your siblings, come on, right? If the people around you don't actually have your back, why would you let your guard down to feel joy? You are no fool. That is foolish.
I never thought about it that way. Yeah.
And all of that brings me to one of my central tenets, which is that these habits are freaking brilliant.
Yeah, they make sense.
So, yeah, listen, I take great umbrage with the original framing, particularly of codependency. We can easily bring that into the concepts of people-pleasing and perfectionism. The way we talk about all of them really makes it sound like they're choices, and they are problems with us. And I'm buying neither part of that, right? Because when your perfectionist habits, because I don't call anyone a perfectionist, because I don't think these are labels.
Protection strategy.
Exactly, right? When you are a perfectionist or a codependent, linguistically, that sounds like you're effed, like you're perma-effed, right? Because that's just who you are. And that's just where you'll stay. Because it becomes your identity. And so then when we look back to the origins of the term codependency, so I spoke with 49 psychologists and psychiatrists, asking them in writing the book, what is codependency? And they all said, I don't, if I may sum it up, I don't know. I don't. Do you want to go get a coffee? What are we doing here? I don't know what that term is. Can we move on? Right, because the consensus is, what the hell is this? There's only one rubric for understanding it, which is the Holyoke Index, which, again, all those advanced trained people in psych were like, nah, that thing's not so good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I bring this up to say the term in our popular parlance comes from 12-step. And if you got sober in 12-step and it saved your life, fantastic. I'm glad you're alive and living your life. I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about my side of the street, which is the other side. Mwah, congrats. Yay. My side of the street, we can see that Al-Anon, CODA, those programs come out of the 12-step, meaning they're based in the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous. And so they take the same framework, which is a pathologizing framework that talks about alcoholism as a disease, and therefore talks about folks with codependent habits as para-alcoholics, equally diseased people, right? In this super pathologized way with defects of character, right? All these inherent problems with who we are. We're very wrong and bad, and demands a cure that, again, is based in talking about these habits as a disease. And as someone who can diagnose and treat disease, I'm not seeing anything to treat because I'm not seeing anything to diagnose, right? Codependent habits are simply habits, as are perfectionist and people-pleasing habits. And I don't think they're a disease. I think they're brilliance. I think they're genius. I think they're like you said, they're protective. They're so wicked smart. And so I was aiming to write the book that would reframe this conceptually away from that disease model and into a model of celebration, right? Celebration of our survival and our thriving. Because look at the C-suite. Who are you seeing in there, right? People with these habits, because that's how you get there.
I know. I don't think that's talked about enough of you got to give up your perfectionism. It's do you know what it's got me?
Right?
I always tell my clients, at least as entry, I'm it's just having flexibility around the stuff. But then as you get healthier and healthier, you don't see the need for it as much. At least that's been my experience of it's just not, it doesn't feel as attractive, I guess.
Right. And again, you can step into intentionality. So listen, if I'm writing a prescription for insulin, each zero could kill somebody quickly. Quickly. Insulin is dangerous business. So I consciously call in my most neurotically perfectionist self to check what I've written 15 times. And I don't want to change anything about that. So too, if I'm putting an IUD in, I would like a level of really carefulness before I don't know, put something in a uterus. Yeah. A-game, baby. A-game. You know what I mean? But, if I'm hanging out with my friends and I'm talking about my life, do I need to be overly concerned with the story they're going to tell about whether I'm successful or not?
Yeah.
Nah.
Yeah.
Because if I do, those aren't friendships I want to focus on, right? That's not a place I need perfectionism. Writing a podcast. Some of my episodes are amazing. Some aren't so great. All right. Well, what are you going to do? I cut my own hair. Sometimes it looks all right. Sometimes it doesn't. What are you going to do? But let's step into prescription writing.
Again, it's about the discernment and the ability to flex with it. Yeah.
Right. And there's times it's like really helpful to be able to do it extremely carefully. And then you're making soup. Just make the soup. It'll be fine.
So as you heard from our conversation today, Bay and I had so much to say. We ended up talking for a total of 90 minutes. And so I'm breaking it up into 2 episodes. Tune back in next week to hear the rest. I'll see you back here, same time, same place in 1 week.